Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Good morning to you. I'm doing a live stream this morning. I'm at the radio station. I'm in my office right now. I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate that. Much love to everybody. I'm actually going live on my phone today. Got some things going on in the production room. So I'm not able to get behind the mic in there. But I do want to talk a little bit about some of the Saints news that we have going on. I titled this, The Bad News Continues to Pile Up for the Black and Gold. And I think that is the understatement of the decade. It just seems like every time that you check out a news feed or you check out like a news article, there's some bad news coming out of Saints camp. This hasn't been a really good year for the New Orleans Saints when it comes to, the battle of attrition. There's been several injuries. Guys have been getting hurt left and right. Now you have suspensions coming down, COVID outbreaks. It's just been a rough year, but we still remain true. We still card carrying members of the Who Dat Nation, and we are going to continue to move and press forward. I want to talk a little bit about some of the news stories that's been coming out of Saints camp. I want to talk about it because didn't get a chance to really go live on yesterday. I had some things going on. Some of you probably know Paxton has been a little bit under the weather. So I really would just focus on, taking care of him yesterday. So I didn't really get a chance to go live or try to record anything because the little man had my undivided attention. But first story I want to talk about Deontay Harris' 3-game suspension. Those that may not know, Deontay Harris was suspended by the National Football League for a DUI that he got in the summer right before the season started. This is a 3-game suspension. He will be able to return week 17. Me personally, I think that this is a huge hit for the New Orleans Saints. We know that Deontay Harris is an explosive football player. He does a really good job in special teams and also on the field, man. Me personally, I think the Saints need to get him more involved. They need to dial up more plays for him because just like that play versus the Dallas Cowboys, I think those plays are too few and far in between. And I don't know if it's because maybe the Saints don't feel like they got the right personnel to execute it. Just the fact that maybe Sean Payton hasn't really tapped into what he can possibly do with Deontay Harris. But it is a huge blow. I think he was the leading receiver on the team, if I'm not mistaken, from a wide receiver perspective. And he's one of those guys that can change the game. We've seen this on several occasions. We've seen him return kicks. We've seen him give the Saints great field position on punts and kick returns. So it's going to be, a huge loss for them. I know some Saints fans are like, man, who cares? The Saints aren't going to the playoffs anyway. The Saints already have so many people down, so when it rains, it pours. But I look at it as a good thing, though. The fact that you don't have to go into next season wondering what's the status on Deontay Harris, what's going to happen with him. Now that he's going to serve this 3-game suspension, the Saints already have a down year. Now you can come back next year and know that you have Deontay Harris, and you don't have to worry about a suspension looming over his head. So get it out of the way right now and kind of just focus on the future. The Saints have activated in his place Easop Winston. Easop Winston, some of you probably got opportunity to watch him play in preseason. He's a guy that I feel like is explosive in his own right. Don't really know why the New Orleans Saints didn't try to utilize him. He's kind of, one of those guys like Deontay Harris. He has a lot of wiggle. He's elusive. He has some speed. And also, I think that he's beneficial in the screen game. It was a couple of times where I seen in games in preseason, and I know it's preseason, but he ran the screen really well. And also, he was able to catch some passes off those wide receiver screens, as well. So I think this is going to be a huge move for the New Orleans Saints. And kudos to them, man. The Saints aren't trying to tank like some people expect them to do. They're not trying to go out here and just, phone the season in. The Saints are continuing to try to create a winning culture. If things aren't working, they're steady trying to find ways to fix what's not working. That includes releasing guys like Kenny Stills. Kenny Stills has been released by the New Orleans Saints. He had 22 targets. He only caught 5 passes. It's pretty much a grand opening, grand closing for Kenny Stills. I have to say I'm very disappointed in Kenny Stills. Very, very disappointed. I felt when the Saints signed him, I thought that they would get a little bit more out of him. I don't know if he's just a prima donna or he just washed. I don't know what's going on with Kenny Stills, but he definitely stole money for, several weeks from the New Orleans Saints. Really didn't do too much anything at all. That play against the Dallas Cowboys that result in an interception. I think Sean Payton felt like he could have went for the ball, but he didn't. He made a business decision. Kenny Stills, I don't know if he's going to get another opportunity or not. Maybe, as a camp body, but I don't think anybody's going to seriously give him an opportunity. Teams pay attention to that type of effort that he showed. And it wasn't like it was just a 12 o'clock game, that you watch regionally. This was a nationally televised game on a Thursday night, and the entire country saw Kenny Stills, just give up on a play like that. And teams ain't trying to look for nothing like that. So Kenny Stills, I don't know what happened. First time he was with the New Orleans Saints, seemed like he had a little bit more effort. It seemed like he had a little bit more confidence in himself. It seemed like, he had, something going for himself. But now I don't know what happened. Over the years, I guess, you get older, you get a little money in your pocket, and all of a sudden you don't feel like you have to make those type of decisions like you did when maybe you didn't have as much money. But Kenny Stills was a huge disappointment. I have to say that was just a waste of space. I don't feel like the Saints benefited at all by bringing him in. And the only thing I can remember about him is the fact that he wore a purple mink coat to a Pelicans game. And if that's the only thing that I know about you, that just tells you everything you need to know about Kenny Stills. Very little production. I think the Saints made the right decision. The Saints also released Malcolm Roach. Don't really know why that happened. I like Malcolm Roach a lot. I think that he's really good in run support. I don't know if it's something that the Saints did as far as like, well, we just going to release you this week and bring you back the next week. We don't need you. Maybe it's just for depth purposes. But Malcolm Roach is a really good football player. I think he's a solid player. And, wouldn't surprise me at all, if he was to get picked up by another team, even though it's late in the season. He's a guy that can really contribute in a major way. So I think it has a lot to do with maybe depth purposes or the fact that the Saints are just trying to make a statement. Sean Payton isn't one of those coaches that likes losing. He's not one of those guys who wants to tank a season or wants to give up on the season. That's just not his MO. So I just think that he's going to try to battle it out until the very end, which I have a lot of respect for when it comes to Sean Payton. Another story that's going down is Cam Jordan. He's on the COVID-19 list. Most likely he's going to miss his first game of his NFL career, which is pretty remarkable to me. Cam Jordan has played in the league 11 years and has yet to miss a game. And even him missing this game, it has absolutely nothing to do with any bodily injury to himself. That's pretty incredible. Now, I know some people are really upset at the effort of Cam Jordan. Some people feel like the Saints are kind of wasting money with him right now. He's not the guy that he once was. But at the same time, man, when you have a guy that you can count on game in, game out, you don't have to worry about him getting hurt at a position that we always wondering, are we going to have some type of depth there because guys are always hurt? Think about all the guys that have come through the door. Tano Passanio last year. You had Davenport. You got Peyton Turner, who were drafted this year. All these different guys who come in, but Cam Jordan is the only one that remains. And the fact that I think sometimes, when guys are available, we have a tendency of taking them for granted because we expect for them to always be able to show up and show out. But, Father Time is undefeated. And him never missing a game, him never missing a game. I mean, it's going to take a toll on your body, man. I mean, y'all know what I'm talking about, man. I mean, Cam Jordan came to the Saints when he was like 21, 22 years old. So, I mean, this guy's like 31, 32 years old right now. He's not going to be the same player, but he still has something to contribute. I mean, he's still really good at run support and setting the edge. He's not getting the sacks the way he once did when he was getting double-digit sacks a couple of years ago. But I still think that he's one heck of a leader. I think that he's a really solid guy. He's really great in the community. He's nominated for Walter Payton Man of the Year by the squad. So congratulations to him in that regard. But I have a lot of respect for Cam Jordan. And even though, his career is, in my opinion, is starting to wind down, I would love to see him get to that 100 sack, number where we can start talking to him about being in a Hall of Fame. Let me turn my Bluetooth off. Okay. Y'all let me know if y'all can hear me. Y'all can still hear me. I'm gonna take these off. All right. But I like Cam Jordan a lot. I got a lot of respect for him. I think that he's one heck of a football player. So I want to see him get that 100 sack because that's when you start talking about guys going into the Hall of Fame. Don't feel like he will be like a first ballot or anything like that, but I do think that he's going to be like, one of those guys that's going to get in there, eventually. And also Mark Ingram landed on the list too. I gotta say this. I'm really questioning the NFL. I'm really questioning the NFL. The fact that they are trying to talk about, doing all these different precautions for COVID-19. Me personally, I don't think they give a what about the players. The only thing they care about is making sure that games are available to appease their sponsors. Because if you have a huge outbreak in a facility like the Dallas Cowboys, when it wipes out your entire coaching staff, when you have players, being in close contact with some of these coaches and some of these personnel people, and then all of a sudden you expect for those players to go out there and go up against another team. It just tells me everything I need to know about the NFL. And you cannot tell me that the reason why Cam Jordan didn't land on the COVID list, Mark Ingram is on the COVID list, doesn't have anything to do with the game that they played against the Dallas Cowboys. These guys were affected by the Dallas Cowboys, in my opinion. Even though you may not have any symptoms, does not mean that you are not carrying COVID-19. And I think that it played a huge role in the Saints not having Cam Jordan and not having Mark Ingram. So I think that the NFL should be ashamed of themselves. I just think that they seen that it was a Thursday night game. It was an opportunity for them to get a money grab. They didn't want to cancel the game due to the fact of a COVID outbreak. So they just went out there and they put those guys' health in jeopardy. So I have absolutely no respect for the NFL in that regard. They knew that there was a possibility that the Dallas Cowboys organization, they could possibly have some carriers, even though guys, probably tested negative. It takes a few days in order for that to get into your system, enough for you to be tested and for any type of results to come out. I just think they should be ashamed of themselves. And now the Saints, who have been playing behind the eight ball the entire season, continue to go and play behind the eight ball because of Dallas Cowboys and NFL's lust for sponsorship, money, and opportunities to parade the product on the field. We already know that they don't care about the players' health because, why would you expect for a player to play on Sunday and then turn around and play on a Thursday after it takes only a few, it takes a few days for a guy even to heal up from a game from Sunday. So around Thursday, that's when guys start to feel healthy enough to be able to play on Sunday. I think that is an absolute disgrace. I think that is a shame. And I think that the NFL is completely responsible for Mark Ingram and Cam Jordan and any other Saints player that may want to find themselves on the COVID list because they know that the Dallas Cowboys organization were riding dirty, if you speak. No disrespect to the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, they were only doing what they were told. But at the same time, you got to be able to look out for the best interests of the players and your product. And this is one of the main reasons why when people get mad at players for trying to get the most money possible, making business decisions about sitting on the sidelines instead of going out there giving it the old college try. I think that's why we have to take this into consideration, because we as fans, sometimes we have a tendency of always looking at the players and what they're not doing right, but we never look at what the NFL is doing. We're never looking at how they're expecting these guys to do, supernatural things, for their viewing pleasure and enjoyment in their monetary gain. I just think that it's sad. But I think that we need to look at the NFL just like we need to look at players. Okay, we look at players week after week after week. We might look at a referee when they are appointed to a game. We look at different situations about the NFL when it's in our face. But unlike some of these players, the NFL can have a way of like pushing the narrative away from them. Rather, it's them making a phone call to ESPN, NFL Network, in order for them to kind of quiet situations where the microscope needs to be on the NFL. But they're so busy trying to put those microscopes on players, right? They want us to be mad at a player because he wants to get more money. They want us to be mad at a player that he's having a lingering injury, but that isn't out there trying to go out there and play hard. They want to keep that narrative up there. But when anytime the NFL needs to be held accountable for anything at all, we talk about it for a day or two, and then the next thing you know, we're talking about what Aaron Rodgers did or what Russell Wilson's decision is, or, what this player, that player of high profile is going to do. The NFL needs to be held more responsible than it does. And it's sad that we don't pay attention to that. And it's not our fault, because the way that we are when it comes to the news, I mean, you're getting news from everywhere. I mean, if you're on social media, if you're watching television, I mean, there's so much news for us to grasp. It's hard for us to be able to departmentalize and grab onto this when something over here is trying to get our attention. So the NFL has that luxury and that benefit for us not to be able to pay that much attention to them and pay more attention to what they actually bringing on the field. But these guys need to be held responsible for that. This COVID-19 outbreak is strictly the NFL's fault. They're responsible, and they need to be able to take care of their players more than what they're doing right now. These guys aren't circus animals. They're not, just something at the zoo for our own viewing pleasure. And, even though they're there to entertain us, they're not there just for us not to understand that these guys are humans and they deal with situations just like us. They just may be in a different tax bracket. I mean, if you playing basketball, pick up in a gym or something like that, and all of a sudden you come down with a rebound and you twist your ankle, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's of the same magnitude of a guy going up for a catch and he comes down wrong, right? You expect to go to the doctor, put an ace bandage on it, to stay off your feet for a little while. But we don't get that. We look at ourselves as human, but we look at these guys as superhuman, understandably so, but they're still humans at the end of the day. But let me go ahead and read some of your comments. And I apologize for, the sound being a little bit low when I had my Bluetooth on. I'm going to go ahead and read some of your comments, and then we'll just go forward with that. Feel free to comment about anything that you want to talk about today. Drink a little bit of this water. Feel free to talk about anything you want to discuss today. We're going to go with Mike. Mike says, you're right, TJ. I think mentality, his heart, not in football anymore. I was expecting so much more from him as well. And Mike, this isn't like we're just talking about a guy that's like 31, 32 years old. Kenny Stills is still relatively young. He's a guy that still has a lot of game left in him. He still has that speed that he had when the Saints drafted him out of Oklahoma. So I don't understand the angle, and I know some people would probably talk about some of his social justice initiatives and how he started to roll with Cap and how all of a sudden, it kind of changed the way that he thought and the way that he played. But I don't think it had anything to do with that, right? Regardless of what your political situation is or what you want to fight for, you still should be able to go out there and play football. I just feel like he just kind of quit on the team. I think that's one of the reasons why the Saints end up trading him back in the day. When the Saints was having some locker room issues back in the day, when they were trying to get some of those bad apples out of there, like Junior Gillette and, Kenny Stills and Brandon Cooks and some of these other guys like Akeem Hicks. That's why he fell into that category, and it's not hard for you to see why. I want, if I'm a coach, I want a player that's going to go out there and that's going to fight. It's going to go out there and they're going to try to battle. They're going to try to be competitive. And, I want to be able to know that this guy has heart. Looking at Kenny Stills, I question this dude's, I question his motivation. I question his heart out there on the field, because sometimes I just see him seem like he was just phoning it in. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong. Pretty sure somebody gonna come through with some analytics to try to justify how good Kenny Stills is. But look, man, I get on social media and I talk to people all the time, and I'm saying, a lot of the times, I just be saying stuff that's on my mind. I don't get on social media to try to debate with anybody. I try to talk a little bit about how I feel about a situation. Then all of a sudden, here comes somebody with some analytics. I don't care about analytics. I don't think analytics tells you the whole story. I don't think analytics can decide heart. I don't think analytics can decide passion. I don't think analytics can decide, a person's mentality in general. So you can come up with all these different type of analytics, but I know what I see when I look at out there on the field. I see when guys are phoning it in. I see when guys are not playing up to their full potential. So analytics can say anything it wants to say, but I'm still going to stand by how I feel about a situation. I mean, Kenny Stills, looking at him, he just wasn't it. And I think the Saints could get a lot more. I mean, I don't know if they can get it from the practice squad or not. And even if, that's the case, the fact that they feel like Kenny Stills was better than what they had on the practice squad is really sad. Or maybe they just looked at it from a monetary standpoint, maybe because Kenny Stills was making a certain amount of money and they didn't want that production just sitting in the practice squad room or being on the practice squad. But nevertheless, you shouldn't jeopardize your season just because a guy's making a certain amount of money. If he's not benefiting the team, then you have to do what's necessary in order to make the move, or put somebody in their place in order for that person to be productive. Because I don't think sometimes looking at a guy in practice or looking at a guy in a film room isn't going to always tell the story. Sometimes guys are better gamers than they are, preparators. Guys preparing for a game. You see guys, maybe they're not always wired in at practice, but when they get out there on the field, you see them making plays. That's the only justification I would have for why Lil Jordan Humphrey was in street clothes and Kevin White was out there playing, because anybody can see that Kevin White is not better than Lil Jordan Humphreys right now. I mean, Lil Jordan Humphreys, every time he gets on the field, he's catching passes, he's catching touchdowns, he's getting yards after the catch, he's trying hard. And I'm saying Kevin White, he just run fast, right? I mean, you're running fast, but when the ball goes your way, it's slipping through your hands. So what's the point, okay? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like having Usain Bolt out there. Yeah, you're fast, but how are you benefiting if you're a wide receiver? Wide receiver job is to block on the edge and catch passes, right? When the quarterback throws you the ball. So if the quarterback throws you the ball and you're getting away from the defender and you're not catching it, I mean, why are you there? What's the point? Somebody explain that to me. I don't know. Remember what the NFL did last year when Lamar Jackson and some Baltimore Ravens players got COVID? They canceled the game and they played it on like a Wednesday. Yeah, I think Mocha, that was a good idea, but the NFL didn't want to go that route. The NFL, they don't want to cancel any games, right? Because they want to try to get as much revenue. They want to get as many eyes on the product as they possibly can. There's no coincidence why some of these games are on Thursday nights, on Saturdays, on Sundays. You know what I'm saying? Like, because those are the times where people are most stationary. Back in the days, if you're an avid TV watcher like myself, Thursday night was the slot. You think about, back in the days when we used to watch Martin on Fox and Living Single and Friends and all these different sitcoms that were really, really popular, Emmy Award winning sitcoms. They used to premiere on Thursday because that was a great slot on Thursday night primetime. So that's one of the main reasons why the NFL decided that. Sunday, what happens on Sunday? Most people are off work because they're working Monday through Friday. Saturday, like they kind of pencil themselves in, when college football starts to kind of tinker off when they get into bowl season, because there's a slot there. So the NFL is looking at more of an advantage from their own standpoint. So looking at a Wednesday night, middle of the week, they call it hump day for a reason. People trying to get over that hump. They ain't really thinking about TV. They thinking about trying to get ready for the weekend. So I think that's one of the main reasons why the NFL really don't want these games to be canceled and be in the middle of the week, because they want to be able to capitalize on as much, so many eyes and so much money. I mean, if you play a game on Wednesday and nobody really watching it, the sponsors are going to be like, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, we want people to be able to pay attention to this Bud Light commercial. They want to pay attention to this Tostito commercial. So if you don't have eyes on that, you're going to lose money. So the NFL understands that. The sponsors understand that. So their job is to make the sponsors as happy as they possibly can. And the NFL is going to do just that. Aaron says, do you think the Saints are going to play Ian Book or just bring Trevor Siemian back out? I'd like to see what the rookie can do. Aaron, that's a good question. The more people that I talk to, hold on, I get that. All right, Aaron, that's a good question. I'll get to yours, Tyra. But I don't think that you're going to see Ian Book. I don't think there's a reason why you will see him this week or next week. Look, I told you, the Saints have a winning mentality. I just think that by bringing Ian Book out there on the field, it's almost like you're conceding that your season is a failure. And even though it looks like a failure, it smells like a failure, we see the direction the team is going in. We know that most likely wins are very few and far between over the next 5 games, but you don't want to indicate that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't want, that to be, a thought inside of the locker room. Guys have to continue to stay dialed in, continue to stay focused. And I think by Sean Payton going out there and allowing Ian Book to be the quarterback, I think it sends the wrong message. I'm just like you, though, Aaron. I would like to see what Ian Book can do. I'm excited to see it. And I think, it's because, he's the new guy, right? He's the guy that we seen play on countless occasions on NBC for Notre Dame. He's a winner. He's won a lot of games at Notre Dame. He comes in, with that. And also, he did a few good things in preseason. And also, you have to take into account the Saints aren't winning many games, right? So when teams are not winning, we always looking for solutions to the problem. I don't think Ian Book is the solution to the problem. And also, you have to pay attention to the confidence of a young player. You don't want to put him out there and just have him going out there throwing passes to Easop Winston or throwing passes out there to Marquez Callaway. You know what I'm saying? You want to give this guy the best opportunity to succeed, because you don't want to mess with a guy's confidence. He goes out there trying to get a ball to one of these receivers that don't want to catch contested catches, can't win their one-on-one matchups. And the next thing you know what I'm saying, he has a stinker. Then all of a sudden the fan base just talking about what's going on with him. Why is he here? It's a waste of time. We ain't got no quarterbacks, because, we all know that's how it's going to go. We're not going to look at the fact that this guy doesn't have all hands on deck. We're not going to look at the fact that this guy is young and inexperienced and you need some seasoned veterans around him to help him succeed. No, that's not the way that most of us think. Most of us think about the end result, right? If Ian Book stinks it up and the Saints win, let's give him another chance. If he stinks it up and the Saints lose, get that bum up out of here. Some of us aren't looking at giving this guy a chance. We looking at giving this guy a chance because we feel like he can change the Saints' misfortunes. But I don't think that's a good idea. I think that you only would be hurting this kid's confidence, in my opinion. I think that if you go out there and have a quarterback competition in preseason next year, and you have some wide receivers come in, you have Michael Thomas come back, and you see some improvement and he's up there, then you give him an opportunity. But I don't think that you should be giving him an opportunity with some guys that we see isn't in his best interest to help him succeed. Tyra says, with the new cap announcement, the Saints are predicted to be $61 million over the cap. There will be some more unfortunate cuts. Once again, get ready, folks. I think that's the reason why you have to go out here and you have to draft better. You have to go out here and try to get the best players that you possibly can. The thing about the New Orleans Saints is the New Orleans Saints aren't a bad football team. We talk about all of these different injuries that they sustain. They have so many guys that are injured. It's hard for you to win, when you have your players on deck. So imagine how it is now that you don't even have your star players. I think that we are getting like this misconception about what the New Orleans Saints team actually is. I think at full strength, this is a really good team, a playoff team. And I think that we shouldn't forget that. As far as the being 61 million over the cap, I mean, the Saints have been dealing with cap issues since, I mean, as long as I can possibly remember over the last 5 to 6 years, and that still didn't hinder them from going out there and putting a really good product on the field. Look, I just think that if the Saints probably wouldn't have had some injuries this season, I think the Saints would still be up there with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Even if I would say they probably would be leading the division. The NFC is terrible this year. I mean, you look across the board. I mean, it's been bad football left and right. You know, it's not like, we're seeing just some team that just blow it out of the water. I mean, every team to me in the NFC is equally as good or equally bad. I feel like this is an equal playing field. So I don't think that the Saints are just that terrible. If they didn't have these injuries, that they wouldn't be in the top 3. You know what I'm saying? Top 4 seeds in a NFC playoff picture. So I think that this team, once they get back together, once they get some guys back healthy, hopefully you won't have the same type of situation repeat itself next year. I think this team still can be a playoff contender. I think they need to change some things around. I think they need to get younger at some positions. I think maybe you need to think about letting some guys go. People like Malcolm Jenkins, maybe, even Teron Armstead. I mean, I like Teron Armstead, but I think that, the money that he's going to demand, he's getting up there in age and all those injuries that he sustained. I think it's time for you maybe to look in another direction or maybe change some things around in order for you to try to, save some money in that regard. I would be highly surprised if Armstead comes back. If he does, it's probably going to be for, little amount of years and, a reasonable amount of money, and I think that Teron Armstead feels like he should still be paid as one of the top left tackles. So I think that's going to be an issue, and maybe he'll end up going somewhere else. But I do think that you need to change some things around and also be able to draft better. You have to go out here and have to get some guys to make plays on offense. I think that the Saints are losing their way offensively because they spend so much time trying to get guys on defense, guys that you never even heard of, instead of you going out here getting a sure thing at an offensive position where a guy can actually compete and win his matchup. And maybe we wouldn't even be in this situation that we're in right now if the Saints would have been smart enough and not as cocky as they were. They felt like, I really feel like Sean Payton cockiness played a role in the way that this team is structured offensively as of right now. I don't think that the Saints felt that, Sean Payton couldn't get the best out of these players right now. I think that they focus more on defense because defense has been their issue over the last few years. And I think that, they felt like Sean Payton can, scheme up anything so the offense can be formidable. And as you can see, you can be the best coach in the world, but you still need some players that can go out there and execute, make plays, and get the best out of their player. So but the Saints haven't been doing it. They've been relying on Michael Thomas, they've been relying on Alvin Kamara, and now that those guys are down, we see that the talent gap is very, very, very wide when it comes to Michael Thomas from the next receiver, Alvin Kamara to the next running back. I mean, it's just bad. So they need to focus on trying to restructure this offense if they're going to be trying to win anything, because I'm not confident that the Saints are going to continue to have success if they're going to continue to go out here getting no-name guys that you never even heard of and expecting these guys to develop around year 2, year 3. Sometimes like you want to get guys that you see flashes in their early stages of their career, something that you can actually build on. I don't want to say, oh, this guy's a rookie, but around year 3, he should be better. No, I want to see this guy come into the league, do some really good things, and as time progresses, you see his growth. It's kind of like with Michael Thomas, right? Like we seen Michael Thomas coming. Like you seen Michael Thomas, emerging as a top receiver in the league from his rookie season, right? You seen him catching everything. You seen him going up here, running really good routes, winning his matchups. You saw that. So you knew that eventually around year 3, year 4, that he was going to be special. You don't see that when it comes to some of these Saints players. I think they be waiting for year 3, year 4 for these guys to develop. But here's the problem: if these guys are late round draft picks, around year 3, year 4, if they start to develop around year 3, you're only getting like 1 year production out of this guy, right? So if you have a guy that struggled his rookie season, start to kind of find himself his second season, but then became a world beater his third season. Now, fourth season, he's gonna be asking for top dollar, and you just wasted 2 years because you didn't get the production out of him that you needed to help your team win. So they have to be careful with that. Try to get guys that's going to be able to make an impact right then and there. Because if you don't, then you're going to be in situations kind of like with Trey Hendrickson, right? Trey Hendrickson, the final season with the New Orleans Saints, he gets double-digit sacks, but he's been with the New Orleans Saints for 4 years. Yo, TJ, what you think about Enos freedom protests against the NBA in China? I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't been following that. I ain't really been focused on that. And honestly, if I was to tell you anything, I'd probably just be blowing smoke up in behind. But that's one of those situations I'm just gonna have to look into. And I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I'm one of those people. It's not like I'm oblivious to what's going on. But man, all this stuff, it becomes like so frustrating to watch. Waking up every morning, trying to find something to be angry about, something, that just gonna grind my gears to a point where it just mess up my whole day, mess up my whole life. And I understand that there are issues in this world that we need to solve, but I can't do that anymore, man. I just can't wake up, and have that type of mind frame where I gotta be, so involved in something to a point where I just feel like it just messes everything up. Because this world right now is just, to me, it's just so divided. And I think the reason why it's divided is because you have these powers that be that try to put these stories out here to try to divide us. But the real solution is of us, joining together. But as long as you continue to have these type of situations going on, these stories that divide us when we have difference of opinion and one side saying this, the other side saying this, we'll never get together. So me personally, man, I try to focus on some of the positive things in sports, positive things in life. And I just try to, live every day to try to be the best I can possibly be. And I expect everybody else to do the same thing. But I'll give you an answer. I'll look into it. I'll read it. And if you ask me that again, Mocha, most likely I'll have a better answer for you. Mark says, I think Taysom Hill will do well as a running style quarterback this Sunday in the rain and cold versus the New York Jets. Yeah, Mark. I think that the way that the Saints can use Taysom Hill, I think that when he was running the football, running in between the tackles, I want to say he had maybe like 6 or 7 first downs on his own merit last week. He really took over the game a little bit. Offensively, he became the Saints' only offensive weapon, in my opinion. But look, I think all this stuff is just fine right now. Giving Taysom Hill the opportunity to go out here and play quarterback, put some stuff on film. But I just don't think that it's just a long-term solution. I don't think that this is long-term success. I don't think you're going to get long-term success with Taysom Hill. There's nothing against Taysom Hill. I like him a lot, but we have to be realistic, folks. Taysom Hill is a guy who stayed injured at BYU. Okay, he stayed injured. All right, and even when he had opportunities to be the starting quarterback, we see that now he's starting to get wear and tear. I mean, I don't think that you have to be a genius to understand that if you're running, this RPO, this smash mouth H power back type of quarterback system, you're going to see some wear and tear on Taysom Hill's body. I think that 2 things can happen here. I think that you're going to get success because Taysom Hill runs that extremely well, but on the flip side, he's going to sustain a certain amount of injuries. And like I said, if you think that just going to be long-term success, I just think that that's wrong, because it's 2 things that's going to happen here. He's going to go out here, he's going to, play hard. That's the only way that Taysom knows how to do it, and he's going to get hurt. Then you're going to find yourself looking for another quarterback again. So I don't think that this reckless smash mouth style is sustainable. Not at the quarterback position. I think that mixing him in between, doing the same thing he was doing since Drew Brees was here, when Jameis was here, I think that you're going to find success with that. But the only thing about it is Taysom Hill is always going to be one of those guys that's going to be in the conversation, like why we ain't playing Taysom, especially if the Saints continue to have him in that Swiss Army role. And let's just say, for example, a quarterback struggles, because, if a quarterback struggles 9 times out of 10, Taysom Hill's production is amplified, right? So let's just say if Jameis is not having a good game, he's overthrowing guys, or he might throw an interception, or he might make a mistake or two, and you put Taysom Hill out there in between, and he running between the tackles, and he getting 14 yards, and he throw the ball down the field for a 23-yard gain. People can always be saying, man, why Taysom ain't in? So Taysom is always going to be a fan favorite in that regard, until, you actually see him on the field in real-time situation as a starting quarterback, and then you're like, oh, okay, I understand. But that's the way that's the future I see for Taysom Hill. I see Taysom Hill being a guy that's always going to be in a conversation as one of the best New Orleans Saints fan favorites. But I do think that if you continuously have him as a starting quarterback, it's only a matter of time before he gets hurt. Yo, T already read that one. Scroll down a little bit more. Mike says Cap is a myth to Mickey Loomis. I do believe that the Saints need to retool certain positions, but the core is still there to compete for a championship next year. Yeah, I believe that. I think that the Saints are just as competitive as any other team. I think that Sean Payton, the coaching staff, do a really good job getting guys that buy into the system, that go out there and compete for one another. Good locker room guys. But at the same time, I mean, you have to be careful, that you don't fall into that trap of, keeping guys too long. I think that the Saints, like some of these other teams out here, like I want to say like the Packers, like the Patriots, they do a really good job in the draft. And then they go out here and they get like, good free agents, good solid guys. And they may not be like the top free agents, which I'm just not an advocate of getting, unless a guy is like extremely special. I feel like some of these guys who go to these other teams, play really pretty well. Team don't want to pay them, maybe because they're not a household name, and they come to teams like the Saints and they make an impact. I think about people like Demario Davis. Demario Davis was a solid linebacker in many systems with the Jets, with the Browns. But he got the opportunity to really be special with the New Orleans Saints. Now, if some of us, looked at this and said, oh, the Saints signed Demario Davis, and we would have looked at like, who is Demario Davis? Like, why they ain't go out here and get, this other top linebacker that I heard of doing things for the Giants or doing things for the Eagles? We wouldn't have had something special in Demario Davis. So I do think that there are diamonds in the rough that we don't really pay attention to. And when they come to a situation like the New Orleans Saints, where a team is really relying on them and put that C on their chest and say, man, you're going to be our guy, I think it definitely raises that guy's intensity, helps them play a little bit more effectively, because they feel like a team is not just going to yank them off the field, you know what I'm saying, because they got this draft pick that they had, and this guy has to work. So I do think the Saints need to get a little bit younger. I think they need to get some more guys in the draft, but I do think the Saints need to start going with a little bit more short things. It's good that you went through the trees, you know what I'm saying, and you canoed in a boat, and you found this hybrid defensive end from a school that nobody even heard of. But sometimes, man, like when you watching these guys on a big stage at these power schools and they doing something special, sometimes, man, you just got to call it for what it is and go out there and grab those guys. Like, man, you ain't have to be blind to know that Jamar Chase was going to be special. Justin Jefferson was going to be special. Patrick Queen was going to be special. Devin White was going to be special. You know what I'm saying? Some of these other guys out here, Greg Newsome, you know what I'm saying, doing some pretty decent things out there in Cleveland. Like you didn't have to guess and wonder if these guys are playing at a high level on a big stage that they're not going to be able to transition to the pros. I don't think that the Saints need to look at it that way. I think the Saints overthink themselves when it comes to the process. I think that the Saints care more about people looking at them as being geniuses and turning guys into like household names. I think they get a kick out of that. But I'd rather have a guy that has great production, a guy that I know for a fact that I can teach him a few other things to really take his game to the next level. And I'll be content with that versus a guy that came from a small school. I have to wonder if he's going to be able to transition to the pros. And if he transitions to the pros, what type of pro is he going to be? I think that sometimes you need to go with a sure thing, and know that sure thing don't have to always come out of Ohio State. Even though Ohio State have what I'm saying, some really good wide receivers out there. Olave, what I'm saying, Olave or whatever his name is. The wide receiver. I can't really pronounce his name. Of course, y'all know what I'm talking about. I mean, really good, solid guys, but I mean, they got good wide receivers all over the board. You know what I'm saying? You got Butte out there at LSU. I mean, you got, other guys all over the country that can be able to compete and be day one starters for your team. And they don't have to come from Fresno State, and they ain't got to come from Kakadu State, and they ain't got to be coming from all the way Beijing. And you go out there and you find him playing in somebody's sandlot backyard. I mean, you got good players that can come in and give you this type of production right away. And I just feel like the Saints sometimes, they don't get the production out of these guys that they come from these other schools until like year 3, year 4. And by that time, their contract is up. People forget Jamison Williams was damn near 4th string on Ohio State roster. With these guys started, look at what he's doing at Bama. Yeah, man, look, I think that the guy is good. Me personally, I think the guys at Ohio State are better than him. I think that people just look at this guy's speed and we just think that all of a sudden, he just, I mean, he's good, but I don't think he's better than Griffin, and I don't think he's better than Olave at Ohio State. I just don't. Like, I seen him in his. I think that people are starting to really say this dude's name because of what he did in his SEC championship game. I think that's the reason why people are catapulting him over those guys at Ohio State. I don't feel like, me personally, I don't feel like he's a game changer. You know what I'm saying? To a point where I just see him, if Michael Thomas was to go down, he going to go out there and give you 150 yards. Yeah, he'll get behind the defender, but I mean, you got that in Deontay Harris. I mean, I don't see, like, when I look at Williams, I don't see special. I don't see transcendent. I don't see a guy that I'm going to be talking about 5-10 years from now in the National Football League. I just see a guy that's fast. I see a guy that's fast. I see a guy that's faster than everybody else. But fundamentally sound, I think the guys at Ohio State are better than him. Like, just looking at the way that he's in and out of his cuts, the way that he uses his hands, those guys are better than him. I will say that. Like, do I think he's good? Yes. Do I think that he will contribute on a team? Yes. But I don't think that he's going to be one of those guys that just stand out and be like, a Julio or Amari Cooper, or Calvin Ridley. I don't see that in him. I don't. I just see a guy that's fast. I mean, he ain't terrible. He ain't terrible, but I've seen better than him. I've seen better receivers from him from other schools, to be honest with you. Treylen Burks is a sleeper, the biggest slot receiver in the draft, 6'3", 225. He doesn't play much on the outside, but he's capable of doing things. Mocha, I know who this guy is. I know, I think that he's really good. But I want a guy that can play on the inside and outside. I think that we need to get away from guys doing one particular thing well. I want to see a guy doing multifaceted of things in order for them to like really stand out. Like, I want, if Michael Thomas was to go down again, I want people to understand this. If Michael Thomas was to go down again, I want another guy that can come in that can give you that 100 yards. I want a guy that if Michael Thomas goes down, we miss him, but not to a point where it just affects our offense as a whole. And I think that's something that we need to get away from as Saints fans, including myself. The Saints have role players at receiver. They have guys that can do certain things well, and they put them out there. So what happens if that guy gets hurt, that number one guy get hurt, and you want this guy to compensate for the guy that's hurt? He can't do it because you done trained him to be a slot receiver. So if you put him on the outside, he's not winning his matchup because he do most of his damage on the inside. Or a guy that plays most of on the outside because he runs fast and he can get behind the defense. But if another guy gets hurt, like a slot guy, you have to kind of change up his role and put him on the inside. He's not winning his matchup because he's used to being on the outside. I want a guy to be able to do inside, outside, be able to, you know what I'm saying, like make moves, you know what I'm saying, get yards after the catch. I want a guy to be able to do several things, because it's not like how it was when Drew Brees was here. Drew Brees could allow these guys to be what they were. You know what I'm saying? Let them flourish in that role, because he knows whatever coverage that he looking at, this guy's going to win his matchup, so I'm going to throw it to him. I don't feel like the Saints have that luxury anymore. The Saints need to surround whoever the quarterback is with playmakers. You know, I think that Drew Brees made a lot of wide receivers better than what they actually were. And I don't feel bad for saying this, because if they go anywhere else, they weren't as impactful as they was when Drew was here. Drew was special in that regards. I don't think any other quarterback would be able to do what Drew did for the New Orleans Saints, which is make those wide receivers better. So what you need to do is go out there and try to find guys that can make plays and also help the quarterback look better. I think that it needs to be kind of the roles being in reverse. Let's see. Pammy, people sleep on what was it, Mache as well. He's another one that might go in the second round. I would love him as well. Yeah, I think that Mechie, I think that's what you're talking about out of Alabama. Yeah, I mean, he's a good player, man. Unfortunately, he tore his ACL. It might affect his draft stock, but I do think that he'll probably be ready for training camp, or probably, a couple weeks after the season starts. I think that he would be a really good fine for the New Orleans Saints, but that's only if the New Orleans Saints go out here and they get themselves a receiver in free agency. You know, get another guy that can be opposite of Michael Thomas, a guy that's reasonably priced, but also give you that type of production. I feel like that would give the Saints an opportunity to feel like they can actually wait for a guy like Mechie, to order for him to go out and get better, heal up, because they feel like they already have a number two. And then when he comes in, it'll just be an embarrassment of riches. But I do think the way that the Saints are structured, what Tyra was alluding to with the cap, you want to go out there and you want to get yourself a young playmaker at receiver. So because of his issue, because of his injury, he might not fall into the lap of the Saints, because maybe the Saints feel like they need a guy that can help them win right now, and there's not much time that they can, they need to be waiting. So maybe they'll end up getting a top wide receiver in the first round, because he's hurt. But if he wasn't, that would be a guy that I would be interested in. Ant-Man, I know, but he's young. They heal better. I have no doubt Mechie will bounce back. Yeah, he's gonna bounce back, man. But like I said, I think he's more of a guy that a team would draft where they feel like, we can wait for him to get better. We can wait for him to get better. Somebody like the Colts. I feel like they have some really good receivers out there. So when he comes in, he'll just add to the wide receiver room. Would love for us to get Olave out of Ohio State, but I don't see him dropping to 9 or 12. The Giants have a couple draft picks early, so maybe we can sneak in there and make something happen. Well, look, I don't think that I think that when you look at teams' needs that's in the top 10, I think that the Saints, that it's attainable. Okay, I don't think it's attainable if you just end up going on this crazy wild winning streak. I don't think that is obtainable. But at where the Saints sit at right now, and if you stay kind of in that position and kind of fluctuate between the teams, I think that you can get them. I mean, based on what I see in the top 10, what teams actually need offensive linemen, pass rushers, guys like that, I think that he would easily fall to the New Orleans Saints. Even if he doesn't, his teammate Griffin is just as good as he is. So I think that it's win-win for the New Orleans Saints to me. I agree with you, TJ. We have multi-functional players at every position except for wide receiver. We need to incorporate that expectation to the wide receiver room also. Yeah, that's how I feel. I don't think that you need to just go with role players anymore. Role players, that's fine, but I do think that that's the reason why the Saints are in the position that they're in right now. That's the reason why we're not getting as much production out of these receivers as we should. It's because the Saints have trained these guys to be role players, guys to be seat fillers, guys to run slot, in the slot, run a handful of routes, guys to be distractions, decoys, if you will. They're not really designed to be that guy for the ball to come their way consistently. You need guys that have that type of mind frame, that's used to getting the ball, that's used to, plays coming their way, and not just few and far in between, and not me just being out there just to be a solid blocker on the edge for Alvin Kamara on stretch and toss plays. So that's the reason why the Saints are in the position that they're in right now. But I do want to take a moment. I got to mention this sponsor, LinkedIn Talent Solutions. Thank you to the fine folks at LinkedIn Talent Solutions. Says these days, it can be hard to find and hire the right candidates for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs made it easy to find people you want to talk to faster and for free. Yeah, man, sometimes, if you're running a small business, it's kind of hard to find talent. I mean, I've been in that position before, being a manager. It's kind of hard to find the right people to do the job. Okay, that's why LinkedIn is here for you. Create free job posts in minutes on LinkedIn Job to reach your network and beyond the world's largest professional network of over 770 million people. Focus on candidates with the right skills and experience using screen questions to get your role in front of only the most qualified. They use simple tools on LinkedIn Jobs to quickly filter and prioritize who you like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Job #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the candidates you want to talk to faster. And did you know every week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free on linkedin.com/SOTS. Okay. All you got to do is go to linkedin.com/SOTS. All right. So shouts out to LinkedIn for those out there that's entrepreneurs looking for the right people, looking for the right candidate. Rather you have your small business or you're working somewhere else, that needs talent. LinkedIn is there for you. All right. We're going to stroll down a little bit. Going to go to it's Jay. Drink a little water. Drop my top. Oh, and almost fell. Anyway, also it wouldn't help to develop. Shaking my head, spell check. Let's see. Cam and Mark on a COVID list. Probably not playing on Sunday. And Deontay Harris started in a 3-game suspension, headed down from his DUI in the summer. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough, but at the same time, the Saints been dealing with adversity all year long, so it's really no surprise here. Saints drafting left tackle first round. Wouldn't surprise me at all, bro. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Maybe he will slip to the second round for the Saints. I guess we're talking about we're talking about Olave. That's not going to happen. If you're talking about Mechie, yeah, most likely he probably will due to the ACL tear. The Saints need a good slot receiver and for Juwan Johnson to start at tight end. I think that's a good idea. I think they do need a tight end. A good slot receiver. But I think the Saints need a receiver that can do other things as well. Play on the inside, play on the outside. Be able to win their matchups one-on-one. That's mostly what I'm looking for right now. I'm looking for that. Maybe they can train Deontay Harris to be that slot receiver that they're looking for. I think he can do damage in the slot. But I think the Saints need a wide receiver that can take over a game, a guy that can get 100 yards, okay, and a guy that can go out here and be that monster that we need them to be. As far as Juwan Johnson is concerned, I think the Saints don't make him that #1 tight end. It's for the simple fact that he's not really that good as a blocker. I think that the Saints want a tight end that can catch, but they also want somebody that can be able to block. I think that's the issue that they had a couple of years ago with Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham was a really good, pass catcher, but he couldn't block. So he had to lead the game and be out the game when the Saints needed to go out there and run the football. They had to bring in Josh Hill. They had to bring in, guy like some of these other tight ends. That they had out there. Guys that were better blockers. So you want a guy that can be able to catch the pass, but you also want to be able to, have a guy that's going to go out there and block, because, your offense becomes kind of one-dimensional and predictable when you have a guy that only can do one thing. If they see Juwan Johnson parade out there on the field, 9 times out of 10 they know that it's a passing play, and that's when you fall into the trap of predictability. Let me see. Godwin is a free agent next, but I know he's going to be way out of our price tag after we pay for a quarterback. Yeah, look, I think that this Godwin, he's going to be a number 1 receiver somewhere. Sometimes you got to count your losses. I can see the New Orleans Saints. To me, I'm a big Juju Smith-Schuster fan. I think Juju would be a really good fit for the New Orleans Saints. I think that Juju can win matchups. I think that Juju can be a 100-yard receiver in some games. I think that if somebody goes down, I think Juju can be a number 1 receiver. You can count on him to be able to be where he needs to be, and he can get yards after the catch. And I also been seeing people talk about, this guy on TikTok and all that kind of stuff there, and talk about, he's a prima donna and he's a social media guy. Man, all these guys are social media guys, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, we follow these guys on social media. You know what I'm saying? We watch what they say. We watch what they do. I think that, media has like their picks and chooses, and they can create stories to make us like or dislike a player. Juju, look, whatever he does in his spare time, as long as it ain't like detrimental to the team, or he getting himself caught up or getting himself arrested, then I ain't got no problem with it. I think that the guy is a solid player, and I think that he's a team guy. I mean, people will talk about that TikTok situation, but they won't talk about the way that this dude stood up for Antonio Brown when Vontaze Burfict knocked him out of a playoff game. And, Juju went out there and laid that boon to Vontaze and knocked him out of the game, because he purposely knocked out Antonio Brown. But we don't talk about those type of things, but we'll talk about him dancing on the Buffalo Bills logo, because, that's not what football players are supposed to do. Guys that are serious don't be on TikTok. I don't know. I think the dude is I think the guy's a solid football player. And I would love to have him being opposite of Michael Thomas. And then on top of that, I don't feel like he would demand as much money as a Godwin, demand as much money as Michael Gallup, because in both of those guys' cases, they've always been on teams where one wide receiver overshadows them, and they never got the opportunity to be that number 1. So with that, they can tell their agent to go out there and kind of promote them as such. Well, like they had Mike Evans and Chris, Chris was out there a couple of years ago. He led the team in receptions and he led the team in catches. So, I mean, he can be a number 1 for your team. You can say the same thing for Michael Gallup, right? But when Juju had an opportunity to be a number 1 after Antonio Brown left, it's the reason why they went out here and they got a wide receiver in the draft. You know what I'm saying? There was a reason why, because they didn't feel like Juju was going to be that guy that they wanted him to be. So him being at number 2, is proven, because he had opportunity to be number 1 and he didn't rise to that particular occasion. So I think the Saints can get him at a reasonable price. And I don't think that Pittsburgh going to sign him back, because they're just not Pittsburgh MO. They're not one of those teams that like to sign guys, the top dollar. I agree, TJ. Too many wide receivers that are only good at one specific skill set. Harris can do it all, but there's only so many catches he can get because of his injury risk and his size. Yeah, tragic. That's why in cases like Deontay Harris, you can come up with game plans and different plays for him because of his dynamic ability. And also you can have other guys that you can draft or you can sign that can do other things, right? He can be the project. It's just like with Taysom Hill, right? Taysom Hill can do so many different things, so the Saints come up with packages for him. I just don't understand why they don't have packages for Deontay Harris. I think Deontay Harris deserves packages, and I think that if you give him, a different package to kind of cater to his skill set, I think the Saints can be a high-powered offense. But I think that would actually come when you actually have guys that can, demand, double teams and extra attention. I don't think that you can do those things right now because the wide receivers that the Saints actually have, no team respects them. Saints are only 2 games under 500 now, and the time to make a push if they want to salvage their season. Yeah, they're 2 games under 500. Do I think that they're going to salvage this season? No, I really don't. I think they're going to try hard. I think they're going to play hard. I think they might irk out, a few games, but I don't see the New Orleans Saints making the playoffs. I don't see them trying to making no push because the cavalry isn't coming. Like, there's not one player that I can just be like, oh, if when he come back, the Saints are going to be dangerous. No, man. I mean, you still have issues at the quarterback position. You still have guys in and out of the lineup on the defensive line. They still can't get pressure on the quarterbacks on a consistent basis, which causes the secondary to have to work extra hard to try to hold their man. A lot of the sacks that the Saints get mostly are coverage sacks, right? You don't really see a guy taking over a game. You don't see a guy that's looking like he's virtually unblockable out there. So I don't think that any of these situations are going to change. So I think that you're going to see guys trying hard, but I really just don't see playoffs in the Saints' future. I don't think it's going to be because they're going to tank. I don't think it's going to be because they're not going to try to work hard. I just think that they're behind the 8 ball and they're not as talented as some of these other teams because of all the injuries they sustain. Larry says, good morning, TJ. Joining late. What's the bad news? Looking for a big win this week. Who that? Well, we got, Cam Jordan, Mark Ingram most likely going to miss the game. Deontay Harris, 3-game suspension. Unfortunately, an unfortunate death of a former defensive end, Glenn Foster. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's just a bunch of bad news just coming out of airline, airline highway. I mean, it's just rough, man. But it is what it is, man. I mean, all teams go through adversity. It's up to the Saints to write what type of season this is going to be. It's not over yet, but I'm not really optimistic about them being in the playoffs. CD do stay on social media. Exactly, But the thing about it is we like his intensity. And he plays for us. I just think that when guys don't benefit us, we critique them differently, right? Like any other, okay, in the case of Michael Thomas, if Michael Thomas was being on social media and saying some of the things he was saying and he played for the Falcons, we'll be talking about how much of a prima donna he is. Now, some of us do. Some of us talk about his prima donna ways, but a lot of us give him the benefit of the doubt because he is a Saint. And we feel like him being a New Orleans Saint, we're Saints fans, we need to defend him, good, bad, or indifferent. But that's just the way that it goes. I don't think that this TikTok situation with Juju would mean much if he was playing for the Saints, because we'll be somewhere trying to protect him and telling other people, oh, no, man, he plays hard. He tries hard, man. He a gamer. So I just think sometimes, man, we have like these picks and chooses. We show favoritism towards people that we like. We turn our heads towards certain situations that involve players when it's in our benefit. But when it doesn't, that's when we really just try to go down here and try to, attack a guy and talk about, oh, his character and his behavior is completely unacceptable. Hey, TJ, they have some great tight ends coming out. Texas A&M, Jalen, what is that? Weidemeyer and Notre Dame, Michael Mayer on a lot more out there in the draft. What do you think it would hurt to draft a tight end? Well, look, I don't think that tight ends should be an early draft pick for the New Orleans Saints. I think the Saints like Adam Troutman. But I also think the Saints really like veteran tight ends. They like experienced guys. But it's been a while since the Saints really had a tight end that this team can count on. If I was them, I knew this guy has a little bit of an injury history, but I think O.J. Howard would be a good fit for the New Orleans Saints. And I just think that some of these other tight ends around, guys that like middle of the pack, I think that they could be like real good fits for the New Orleans Saints. So, and also, I'm not just going to give up on Adam Troutman. I think Adam Troutman, last time we seen him on the field, he showed me something against the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, his last play before he got hurt was him, gaining like 16, 18 yards to try to fight, to try to get a first down for his team. So that type of mentality shows you that he actually cares. And I think that he might become a better player, because I mean, if we didn't see that game, then I think a lot of members of the Who That Nation probably just think, oh man, this dude's a lost cause. But the way that he laid it out there on the field against the Philadelphia Eagles just shows me that Adam Troutman may be the right guy for the job in the future. I just think that he just needs some experience. Russell Wilson's camp now has stated he will waive his no-trade clause for the St. Giants and Broncos. Do really think Sean likes players who are messy and the season isn't over? He's a diva. I disagree with the fact that he's a diva, Ant-Man. And that's one of the things, like, man, people don't never, like, really realize or see. They always, when it always comes to contract negotiations, when guys want to decide their own fate, control their own destiny, y'all don't find it weird that the media always comes out with these stories, always put these talking heads up here to try to push the narrative of players being selfish? It goes back to what I said at the beginning of this podcast. The NFL has ways of getting themselves out of the out of the way of getting the most attention when they do just outrageous, egregious things. Like when they don't put the players first, when it's proven that they're not putting the players first, when they are supposed to be making some things change. There's always a story or two, and then all of a sudden it just dies down. But when guys start to want to control their own destiny, when guys want to renegotiate their contracts, when guys feel like they need to be getting paid more than what they actually are earning, then all of a sudden here come the stories about players being selfish. Here come the anonymous player inside of the locker room that's talking about how this player did this, that, and the third. Russell Wilson has been an upstanding citizen for the Seattle Seahawks. This dude is always in the community. This dude is well liked. This dude is a philanthropist. You know what I'm saying? He's a guy that's a humanitarian. Every time you see him, like he's, at children's hospitals, you know what I'm saying? He works hard. He has a really strong work ethic. Then all of a sudden, like he goes on the Dan Patrick show and he talks about how he just doesn't want to get sacked. And if you've been following the Seattle Seahawks over the last few years, you would know that they never really paid attention to their offensive line. They never tried to put things into place for Russell in order for him to stay upright. It's always been, oh, we need to focus on the defense. Let's get this linebacker. Let's get this cornerback. Let's go out here and get this third string offensive lineman that this team didn't want to be left tackle for Russell Wilson. But he's supposed to grin and bear, and he's supposed to smile and you know what I'm saying, and be happy and shake hands and kiss babies for our viewing pleasure. No, you know what I'm saying? These guys want the best situation that they can possibly be in. These guys care about their football immortality. They care about their legacy. And I don't feel like it's nothing wrong with Russell Wilson calling his shot. Teams do it all the time. Oh, it's budget cuts. Oh, they had to cut this guy due to the fact that they were over the salary cap. Are we sitting up here caring about the fact that this dude probably been in this city for 6-7 years? He married his wife here. He had kids here. They have to, you know what I'm saying, uproot and go to another school. I mean, do we care about those things? No, we do not. But we'll sit up here and talk about, oh, a player's being selfish. Oh, you know what I'm saying? He wants this and he wants that. Like, look, Russell Wilson wants to be in a better situation. I don't think that he's a diva. I think if the Saints were to land Russell Wilson due to if they feel like it's a better move and they want to be in win now mode, they don't feel like they can work things out with Jameis Winston, fine. I'm not mad at that. Teams want to win. Just like teams want to win. Just like you want the Saints to win, players want to win too. Nobody wants to sit up here and be losing every single game. Now, some guys you probably have out there don't care about winning or losing. They just care about maximizing their portfolio. But for the most part, if you're a gamer, if you're a warrior, if you care about your legacy, you care about being in a winning situation. So I have no problem with Russell Wilson wanting to call his shot, wanting to go out here and play the best, that he possibly can, and really just going out there, you know what I'm saying, and trying to be in the best position. I have no problem with it. Harris due $4 million at a renewal. I don't think they will renew Smith's contract. Yeah, look, I wouldn't. I like Traquan for what he is. I think that he's, he got a little toughness to him, but I don't think that. I think what you see is what you get with Traquan Smith. I think Traquan Smith is going to be a guy that's going to end up being a journeyman. I think that he's always going to land on somebody's team because, I mean, he's a really good blocker as a wide receiver. And I think that he can give you a few catches. But I just think that the way that the Saints utilize him and what he has shown since he's been with the New Orleans Saints has not been worth extension on a contract. Now, it depends on what we're talking about here. Like, if it's something you feel like you can do, then you re-sign him. But if it's something that you really have to think about, like if his agent says, oh, we want this, and you have to think about it longer than a couple hours or a couple days, let him go. Sean Payton will not sign Wilson with Hill on the roster. I disagree with that. Look, man, I think that a lot of people are putting way too much stock in Sean Payton's relationship with Taysom Hill. Look, Sean Payton has to believe in Taysom Hill because he has to. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is he supposed to do? He's supposed to get behind the mic and say, oh, man, Taysom Hill is not a really good thrower of the football. He makes bad decisions. He's late with the football. I don't think that he's going to be a really good quarterback. So let me just go ahead and try to find somebody else. Look, we can talk about Taysom Hill till we blue in the face. We can talk about, is he a quarterback? Is he not a quarterback? But one thing you can say about Taysom Hill, you want him on your football team, right? You may not want him as your signal caller. You may not want him throwing the ball 40 times a game, but you definitely want a guy like Taysom Hill on your football team. So I can understand why Sean Payton would be singing his praises of being optimistic about Taysom Hill, because Taysom Hill is a special player for what he does for this team. And there's not many players that can do what Taysom Hill does. Taysom Hill is a trendsetter. You have players out here, we have coaches and organizations right now trying to find people that can do what Taysom Hill does, because this dude carved out a lane for himself. That's one thing that you can say about Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill is a great player. Great players, what I'm saying, don't always be, they're great at their position. He's great because he carved out a lane for himself, and he's going to forever be known as that guy. So he's not the greatest quarterback in the world. He doesn't make the best decisions in the world. It's kind of late on his passes at times, but I don't think a Saints fan on here would say that you want Taysom Hill on your team in some capacity. So I do think that the Saints understand that Taysom Hill is most likely not going to be their guy as a signal caller for the future. I think that they want him on the team for what he does. That's the reason why they signed him to that hybrid contract. And I do feel like the New Orleans Saints, whether it's Jameis Winston or Russell Wilson or whoever quarterback that they actually get, they're looking for a guy that can be that quarterback game in, game out, and also sprinkle some Taysom Hill in there. So they are human, not puppets or robots, for fans who just want entertainment. Let these guys live as long as it does not affect them and others around them. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that, Chemo. People want these guys to be politicians. They want them to shake hands and kiss babies. I think if it up to every Saints fan, not every Saints fan, but some of these Saints fans, they want all the players just to be like Drew Brees. Say the right things, do the right things, go to the right places. You know what I'm saying? Like, be around the right people. It's not always the case, man. Everybody's not going to be Drew Brees. Everybody is not going to be taking pictures of their family in front of the Christmas tree. And everybody is not going to be showing you pictures of their kids backflipping on a trampoline in the backyard. These guys are young. I mean, I think sometimes we forget that. When we're 21, 22 years old, man, we trying to turn up. We got pictures of us going to the club. We got pictures of us with, with adult beverages in our hands, probably most likely. We have, pictures of us in funny situations, because we're young. We feel like we have the world on a string, and we feel like the world is at our grasp. Anything that we can get, we can obtain. Anything we can obtain, we can get, I should say. These guys are young, and I don't feel like just because these guys play a game that makes you high profile, they should forget about the fact that they're young. And just like any young player or any young person, they're going to make mistakes. We all made mistakes. We learn from our mistakes. We grew as adults. We think back to those points and we say to ourselves, man, I'm probably not going to do that again. So what's the difference between those players? Okay. What's the difference between them, want to be on social media and you want to be on social media? They're human, right? So, I mean, that's just the way that it goes. I think he can wait until the end of the season. I think you are taking away from your team during season. I get it. What are you saying though? Let me see. I'm not sure what we're talking about here, Ant-Man. I think he can wait until the end of the season. I think you are taking away from the team during the season. I'm not exactly sure what we're talking about here. I apologize, man. Brandon says, "What up, TJ? I missed beginning of the show. What's the bad news? Man, just the the COVID issues. Mark Ingram, Deontay Harris. You know, I mean, so many bad things happening with the New Orleans Saints. I mean, I'm pretty sure when I leave here, from doing this show, it's probably gonna be some bad news. Probably come down. He's a Swiss Army knife. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it. I just feel like when people put titles on guys and we get mad at these titles, but that's what he is. I mean, he's a jack of all trades, and he should be proud of himself. Like Taysom Hill should be proud of himself based on how he came into the league, and where he came, what position he was in. The fact that he has, made over $40 million or is going to make over $40 million is pretty much remarkable for a fact that he came into the league supposedly being a quarterback. Hey, TJ, a Tulane question. How will Willie Fritz is keeping a job going 5-7 every doggone year, even going 2-10 this year? But Curtis Johnson did the same and was asked as soon as possible. I really can't answer that question. The fact that I think that sometimes teams are more tolerable, when it comes to coaches, when they feel like a coach does something well. I don't know. Maybe they just feel like they owe it to him. Maybe they feel like, last year was COVID. This year, I seen a couple of Tulane games. I mean, at the beginning of the season, they were playing pretty hard. But, I mean, Tulane is Tulane, man. I think that most likely they're probably going to move into a different direction probably after the next season. So I don't think it's no harm, no foul there. Do I think that they, want a winning culture? Yeah. I remember the days when Tulane was pretty doggone good. I talk about it all the time. When I was a kid in middle school, I used to always go to the Tulane games. This was during the time when Sean King was here and Tommy Bowden was the head coach, and they went undefeated in Conference USA play. So, I mean, Tulane, they have some players, that get drafted. They get some decent players that play in the league for quite some time, but I think they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out, man. If he doesn't get fired this year, if he has the same type of results as last year, as this last year or this year, then they probably gonna fire him. Hit that like button, who that fan? Yeah, I just want to understand. Like if you enjoy the State of the Saints podcast, you enjoy the content. I understand why people don't hit the like button. Maybe they forget. Maybe they just don't do it. Maybe some people just watch, and be like, oh man, But I would appreciate if you hit the like button, or the like, hit the like button or the share button on social media platforms that this is streaming on, because I would really like for the show to grow. TJ Kitchen, thank you very much for $2. Finally, I get my chance to shine. No, actually, I'm not in the kitchen. I'm in my office, man. The cabinets behind me, they just have radio equipment inside of them. It just looks like a kitchen, but it's just cabinets. Okay, it's my office. Been in my office for about 4 years. TJ, I know we need to draft a wide receiver in the first, in the draft. But do you think the Saints' first 2 draft picks should be wide receivers, or should the second pick be something else different? I think that the New Orleans Saints need to get themselves a wide receiver in the first round, and I think they need to get something else. I think that the Saints need to get themselves a free agent wide receiver. I think they need to get a free agent wide receiver and a young wide receiver. That's what I think. Second round, I think you might want to be looking for, a guy like a safety, or you want to get somebody that's like an offensive lineman. That's what I feel about that. I don't think that you need to have 2 wide receivers, drafting 2 wide receivers. I don't think that's the solution. I don't think things have got that bad. I think that it looks bad because Michael Thomas hasn't been here in the field like forever. And, the fact that you have a bunch of guys that's just a bunch of role guys. I think the Saints just need another playmaker at the wide receiver position and a young guy where you can have him on a rookie deal, right? You have him on a rookie deal, have them go out there and play, and you have like 3 or 4 years of production out of them. I think that's where the Saints go wrong. They get these wide receivers late, and they be like developmental projects. And like I said, around year 3, year 4, it's time to re-sign these guys again. And then if they play well enough, they didn't play their way out of the city. So, you only got like 1 year of production out of them because you spent the first 2 years trying to develop him into being a formidable player. Y'all smash that like button, share this with everyone, spread the word. Yeah, man, I would really appreciate that. I think the State of the Saints podcast is a pretty well-known podcast. Many Saints fans know about the show, but there are several that don't, and I would appreciate, if everybody hit the like button. I think that it would bring the show into another tier where, other Saints fans that may not know about the show will be able to see it. And veteran tight end. Yeah, veteran tight end is something that the Saints need. I think Nick Vannett is a good tight end. He's been playing pretty well since he's been there. I remember that undefeated season myself, TJ, with Tulane. Would love to see success with that school again. Well, those guys aren't hurting. I mean, if you don't end up going to the NFL, you end up being a bomb lawyer, sitting in a high rise somewhere, making a lot of money. So I think it's win-win. If you're a Tulane graduate, I don't think those guys are hurting. Like Tulane is a really good school, really solid school, man. Shouts out to Maddie Hudak. I think she actually went to Tulane, if I'm mistaken. It's a really good school, man. So those guys ain't hurting. When they get out of school, they get their degree. Oh, I went to Tulane. Oh, you did? Okay, here's this job, this 6-figure job waiting for you, okay? If you're not going to make $1 million in the NFL, hey, you can make 6 figures. You'll be okay. Pammy says, TJ, what about Grambling hiring of Hugh Jackson? I think it's good. Well, I heard all speculations. I don't know if it's true or not, but if they did hire him, I think it's a good move, not only just for Grambling, but HBCUs as a whole. I really like the direction HBCUs are going in now. I think that HBCUs getting the attention is really good for the product. I'm not just saying that because, Jackson State is on top right now. I'm saying that because I like the energy. I like the energy that HBCUs have right now, the momentum. I like the fact that guys are really trying to go out here and trying to take HBCUs to the next level. I like the competitiveness of teams that I've been seeing that's down, fighting really hard, like Mississippi Valley State. You got other teams, like Prairie View, Jackson State, who's been down for years. I'm just being real. They done made themselves way to the top. So, I'm loving it. And if Hugh Jackson can come to the Grambling State Tigers, that would be great. He's a great offensive mind. He's a leader of men. He's a motivator. I think he's good for college. I don't think he's so much good for the pros. I just think that his coaching approach is more for the college ranks more so than the pros. TJ's office, thank you very much for $2. Says, I ain't no kitchen, you clowns. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's definitely not a kitchen, man. Let's see. Absolutely. Great for my alma mater, Grambling. I love it too. Yeah, man. I like where all these HBCUs are going. You got Eddie George out there changing around the facilities and bringing Tennessee State back to prominence slowly. Deion Sanders at Jackson State, Hugh Jackson. You got Fred McNair. Him out there at Alcorn. They continuing to do what they've been doing. Excuse me, wipe my nose. Got wipe my nose. But anyway, yeah, I think that all this stuff is good for HBCUs, man. All of it. I'm gonna probably just take one more, and we'll get up out of here. Larry says Taysom is also a spark. He inspires the team by how much fun he has playing. The team feeds off him, just like they do Winston. I am worried about Winston's knee and when he will be ready again. Well, I'm not concerned about Jameis Winston because Jameis Winston is a competitor. I mean, this guy works hard. He really tried hard to try to make himself a better quarterback than he was in previous years. He really was all in. He dialed in. He bet on himself. So if he did it one time, I can see him doing it again. I'm not concerned about his knee at all. I think that he's going to come back better than ever. That's just me. Hey, TJ, Matt Forte was probably the most successful Tulane player to make the NFL, huh? Well, I guess and they had a few of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think Sean King, for all things considered, was successful. He had a couple starts with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, played in NFC Championship game. I mean, I think that's pretty doggone successful. Moody, you know what I'm saying, out there with the Chicago Bears. I mean, he's playing pretty good. I think that Tulane has some decent players. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people will be like, man, what about JP Loftman? JP, you know what I'm saying? He had some success too. You know what I'm saying? But hey, man, I look, Tulane is a really solid school. They have players that come in, few, they have a few sprinkles in the National Football League, and when they do come into the league, they make some noise. They do some good things. Jackson State looking good. Grambling making moves, and Southern just over with a thumb, and they you know what. Look, Southern played pretty hard too. You know what I'm saying? Southern is a really good football team. I think that they may need another coach, but they're good defensively. I think the quarterback that they had, not the one that started in that Jack State game, but the other one. I think that with experience, I think that he's going to get much better. That quarterback that played for them for like 10 years, I think that it's time for him to go. I think the backup guy is better than he is. Santos, the kicker from Tulane, too. Oh, okay. Well, that's not a selling point, man. Okay. That's not a selling point. Hey, TJ, I went to South Carolina State. We are playing Jackson State in the Celebration Bowl. I like Jackson State, but y'all going down. Just kidding. Y'all will probably win, but we're going to make it a game. Go Bulldogs. Well, South Carolina State is a really good defense, good defensively, which most MEAC schools are. They're known for their defense, running the football, and being pretty solid all around. So Jackson State, by no means, is going to be an easy game for them. They got to go out here and they got to be able to execute. And if you want to be honest with you, that SWAC championship game for the offense was terrible. Like, they wouldn't, if it wasn't for the defense stepping up, getting turnovers, that pick six, that kick return, might be singing a completely different story. For all things considered, Prairie View did a really good job defensively. Like playing that shell defense, playing cover two. It was hard for Shedeur Sanders to do anything. He had about 83 yards in that game. So I think South Carolina State, to me, is a better defense than Prairie View is. So if they go out there and they try to do the same thing they did offensively, they did versus Prairie View, they might end up losing that game. So they're going to have to step it up, man. They're going to have to step it up. You are the voice of the Saints as far as I'm concerned. I see much more success in your future. Sending love from the West Bank. Brandon, I appreciate that. I talk about the State of the Saints podcast all the time. I say on the State of the Saints podcast all the time. I don't try to be like any other show. No disrespect to anybody's show. But I don't try to be like everybody else. Like, I don't want to be sitting up here, reading an article, giving you all a bunch of analytics, because I don't try to be the smartest person in the room. Surprise for some people, like some people just get this misconception about me. Oh, what I'm saying, he think he know better than everybody. They get on the show, they want to compete and debate with me. Like, man, look, you can win every argument you want to. I don't want to sit up here and be arguing about who good and who bad and why my opinion isn't good and yours is more valid than mine. Like, man, miss me with that. Look, I'm a football fan at the end of the day. I grew up as a Saints fan, and I think that this show is for Saints fans. I ain't saying those other shows aren't for Saints fans, but I'm not the analytic guy. I'm not gonna sit up here with a bunch of index cards and talk about how the Saints was 3 of 10 on third down, and they had these many first downs. Like, I mean, that's all important, but that's not me. I like the barbershop mentality of a show. Like, you ain't sitting down there talking about analytics in a barbershop. You're talking about why this player ain't playing up to snuff. You're giving your opinion, like, no matter if the opinion may be kind of crazy or statistics don't always confirm it. I take a lot of pride in that. I like the way the show is. you know, and like I said, I try not to be like any other show. You know, I don't want to be a debate show. You know, I don't want to be a shock jock. I don't want to be sitting up here just throwing random craziness against the wall and hoping that people come back because they want to hear more craziness. Like if it's merited, if it, you know what I'm saying, if it's warranted, I should say, if it's warranted, then I'm gonna say it. You know what I'm saying? Like I say it. Like, you know, if a guy playing like Slaw, I'm gonna say it. But I'm not gonna say a guy just playing like Slaw because I want to have a controversial take. Like I see a lot of these shows, and I'm not just talking about Saints shows, but a lot of these guys, they want to be like what you see on ESPN or Fox. Like they want to be loud, they want to say all this off the wall stuff, and they want you to be in the comments and being like, "Oh man, my goodness, like I can't, man, how would you say that? Why would you say that?" Like, I mean, if that's your lane, fine, but I just think there's millions of other shows just like yours. Um, I just try not to be like anybody else. So when people, you know, come on the show and want to debate about what I said and all that kind of stuff, and oh, I don't have to agree with you all the time, like I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care. Like you know, it's just funny to me, you know, like because I don't get behind the camera to talk about, you know what I'm saying, how my opinion is more important than yours. Like I don't know. But some people want to do that. That's just not my lane. There is a place for there's a place for Saints fans who want analytics, and that's the B&G breakdown with my boy Aaron. Yeah, man. I mean, Aaron does a really good job with it. You know what I'm saying? Like he does a really good job with that. Aaron, you know, and also he's transitioning to writing columns. So shouts out to him, man. Really good job there. Um, but that's just not me, man. That's just not me. You know, there's a lane that's a great lane to be in. Guys that do that research and stuff like that, but I mean, I just don't operate like that. And I could, you know, I could be that guy. I could sit up there with index cards and talk about stats and all that kind of stuff, but I don't, you know. If you know, I like it to be natural because I feel like if I did that, then it wouldn't be natural, right? If I blurt out a stat, it's because I remembered it all out of the top of my head. It's not because I prep before the show. I don't prep before the show, man. I just get behind the camera and let it roll. I mean, anybody that follows the show has to know that because I don't know what you all are going to ask me. I don't know what questions you're going to ask. I don't even know your comments. So, SOTS and TJ is down to down to earth, and that's what I try to be. That's what we try to be here. You know, I think all the shows are good for what they do. I just don't feel like my show is like anybody else's. Uh, great draft pick. 2-minute woes this season. Damian says, "Hey TJ, I've been watching you a few years, and you're right. They have some good shows out there, but for homie, you really do have the best Saints podcast, my opinion, bro. That's real New Orleans authentic swag. Yeah, man, I appreciate that. Like I said, they have some great shows out here. And like I said, I ain't trying to knock anybody. I just don't like to. I just don't like to sit up and debate. Like I just don't because what people don't understand about debating is it's all opinion, right? You know what I'm saying? And it's also just you're making the viewer choose a side, right? And just because the viewer chooses a side doesn't mean that they're right. You know what I'm saying? Or the majority, just because they choose your side means that the other person is wrong. It's just I don't know. That's just I just don't like that kind of stuff. Like I like barbershop talk. I like talking to people that from all different walks of life. Like I like to talk to people that have certain knowledge of football. I like to talk to people that don't really have that much knowledge of football. You know, because I think that we all have something to share. You know, if you're passionate about any fan base, any you know what I'm saying, any team, any fan base that is passionate about a team, um, I think that your opinion matters. And I don't think just because you're not as schooled as some of these other people that talk about it, that just means that your opinion doesn't matter. I mean, there's a lane for everybody, and I like the fact that the State of the Saints podcast is a lane for everybody. I don't want anybody. I like the fact that a person that may not have that much football experience can be in a chat and say how they feel. But if you go on some of these other shows, like You might, and like I said, I'm not talking about just Saints shows in general, but if they're not knowledgeable, they get eat up in the chat. Oh man, you don't know what you're talking about. Such and such did this. Oh man, get out of here, and make them feel bad and don't want to talk about sports anymore. Like that's not the way things should be. People should be comfortable no matter how knowledgeable you are or the product to be able to hear about their favorite team in a safe space. TJ, do you think all these kickers are really this bad, or it has something to do with the place holding and long snapping? That's a good question, Chosen. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's a good question. That's something that I thought about too. It could be, man. Maybe we need to sign Thomas Morstead back just for him to be it's fit for him to hold the football. Maybe it's a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. Will Lutz was like, at an all-time high. You know what I'm saying? When Thomas Morstead was holding for him. Been on this show since the beginning. I look forward to the SOTS. I appreciate that, man. Nola Mike says Locked On Saints is good too. Yeah, man. Ross does a really good job. Ross is Ross is emerging as like being the Saints Cronkite to me. You know what I'm saying? Like he's everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like it, and look, man, the dude is a star. Like honestly, man, like Ross Jackson is a star to me. Like he's a personable guy, and if you talk to him like behind the scenes, like I've had opportunities like before we done interviews together to talk. That's him. You know what I'm saying? Like that's who he is. Like that's who he is. Like when he in front of that's who he is behind the scenes. To me, you know what I'm saying? That's what I read about him. But he's a star, man. To me, would not surprise me if Ross like end up being like, I don't know what he wants as far as his future. I don't know if he wants to like, stay talking Saints or like move on to a national stage. But whatever he does, like the dude is gonna be like special. Like it's you know what I'm saying? Like you can't fake that type of stuff, You can't. Like just he's the next man up to me. Like if we talking about somebody being, like that guy, all right, that's Ross to me. Yeah, that's Ross, I don't like the fact they're changing Saints Nation to Saints Crew. Did you let them know about it? You let them know about it? We family. Yeah, basically. That's one thing. I wanted a podcast that people can come to and, they can turn it up in their office. My mom was doing a rehab on her leg. She was going to the rehab center, and she would listen to the show, and the people would put the show up on the screen. And the fact that my mom can say, "Oh man, yeah, turn it up," or the fact that I know my grandmother's gonna watch this episode if she's not watching it live. For her to, be able to tell people about the show, I take a lot of pride in it. Like I see some people, they be going off the rails with it. I like family-friendly content. I like the fact that anybody can watch this show, no matter what the age level or age group is, no matter what the knowledge of the Saints, that you may have. Shout out to All Saints Podcast. Yeah. Run them likes up, y'all. I'm stuck with the Saints Nation name, not this new name. Well, maybe they feel like it was just time for a change, ain't nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to like reinvent yourself, Maybe they felt like it was just time to reinvent themselves, and nothing wrong with that, Once the Saints started losing, I started watching everybody's opinion about the Saints. I think that sometimes happens, like when teams are not doing well. If you notice, like, sometimes like you get more views, and I think you get more views because you have other fan bases that come over. Maybe they want to laugh at your displeasure. Maybe they want to like kind of, dance, what I'm saying, in a puddle of your pity. I don't know, but that's just the way that it goes sometimes. Looks like your nose running, bro. Take a second. Thank you, man. Thank you. At least somebody told me. At least somebody. Y'all can tell me stuff like that. But somebody gonna be like, somebody gonna tag that and be like, that 1 hour and 44-minute mark, that boy nose was running. All these changes will have you scratching your head and think to yourself, yeah, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. But that's basically it, man. Like the final word that I just have, it's very, very simple. The New Orleans Saints, they've been having some bad news, but look, man, we got about 5 more weeks and this season is over. The Saints can write a narrative for themselves, right? They can write the narrative of how they turn things around these last 5 games, or it can just be the fact that we're just looking for the future. But I don't expect for this team to lose constantly. I don't expect for this team to give up. I feel like this team is going to fight to the very, very end. And, that's just the way that I feel like it's going to work. Deontay Harris situation, unfortunate. Cam Jordan, Mark Ingram situation, unfortunate. Glenn Foster situation is definitely unfortunate. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Hopefully we find out exactly what happened with that in the next coming days or weeks. But all in all, man, we still Saints fans. We still going to root for the team. We still going to support the team. I like the fact that the Saints, getting rid of some of this lightweight, that's on a team like Kenny Steele's and, trying to still move forward and trying to find ways to try to be successful down the stretch. But thank y'all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, facebook.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Previous episodes available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. And also thank you to LinkedIn Talent Solutions, manscaped.com, the official sponsor of the State of the Saints podcast. And I'll see you all later on in the week with more Saints content. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?